Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. So excited to bring this episode to you. We're going to talk about online courses. But first, I just want to thank you guys. I am almost to 23,000 downloads of this podcast, but that blows me away. Super cool. This is episode number 46. And having a blast doing this. Love to have your input. What guests would you like to have on here? What kind of conversations would you like for me to have with folks? What do you want to learn? How can I serve you? Feel free to let me know, ryan@ryanrieger.com. Today, I'm chatting again with Jenny Hunt because we do a lot of stuff together. We're in business together on several projects, but we're talking about online courses, and online courses is a hot topic. I am on social media a lot, and I see ads for people creating courses on how to create courses. So it's a really hot topic, and we just teach it a different way. As you'll learn in this episode where I'm chatting with Jenny, we went live in one of our Facebook groups. We recorded this content and bringing this to you. We're just having a conversation about the easy way versus the hard way, because there is a hard way to do online courses. Most people think that to create a course, you have to have polished videos, expensive equipment, expensive software, and guys, that just is not the case. You can, and that's great if you want to do it that way. But we find that most folks, if that's the standard they're trying to reach, they just won't ever do it. And your audience needs what you have, and a course is a great way to serve them. And so listen to this episode. If you think at all that you would ever want to create content that you get paid for, if you want to go the route of getting paid from something that you're interested in, something that you're passionate about, you want to turn your interest into income, then a course is something that you definitely want to have at some point. And the way we teach it, I promise you, it's the easy way, one that is very not intimidating, very there's no risk involved with it, and it's practically free. Creating courses, I don't know if you guys have noticed, maybe it's just Jenny and I because we're heading up this group. It seems like I get so many sponsored ads related to people who are creating courses about how to create a course. And that's really cool for us to see, because it shows that we're talking about the right thing, that it's everybody else is seeing that this is an opportunity to teach people how to create an online course, but we've not seen people teach it the way that we do. We love to talk about the easy way, and we're the founders of Private Label, The Easy Way, taking something that is typically seen as difficult, challenging, stressful, and we found a much easier way to do it. And we're doing that in this niche too. So we want to talk today about the easy way versus the hard way, because there is a hard way to do it. There's an expensive way to do it. Just like with launching physical products, you can do it the expensive way, the hard way, the risky way. And that same,
if you want,
if you want to, but that same, the same method essentially comes over to creating courses as well, where you can choose to do it the hard way or the easy way. And we're going to kind of cover those two things and show you that it doesn't have to be intimidating, and it doesn't have to take hours and hours and hours, and doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to buy tons of expensive tools to do it.
Yeah. So I wanted to share a story. I've shared it a couple times before, but this is so powerful to me. It happened last year. We homeschool our kids, and of course, we're kind of big on entrepreneurship. And so as our kids have been kind of just trying to discover what their thing is, they're getting a lot of input from me, and I'd say they're getting input from you too, Ryan. And a lot of people we know, they're getting a lot of that input. But I came across some ad or something from these 2 homeschool dads. I I don't remember what it was called or anything like that, but they were teaching a class on entrepreneurship for homeschoolers. And I thought, well, that's interesting. It looked really good. It really looked good. But it was it was like late winter, early spring. And I'm like, I don't know. But I was thinking about it because I thought it might be good to have another perspective pouring into my kids. And so I kind of put it on the back burner, bookmarked it for another time, but I did sign up for their mailing list or something. So somehow they had my information, but I never signed up for the course. Now fall came around, or late summer, and I get an email from one of the dads, and they said, hey, we saw that you joined our mailing list, are interested, but you didn't sign up. Like, what can we do to make you sign up?
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? It was much kinder than that. And I said, honestly, I teach people how to create digital online courses, and have a lot of experience with that. And I lost my train of thought. Dang, I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot going on in my world. Let me just think for a second. He was asking why, and I said, I know what it was. I'm sorry. He asked me why, but he also said, we need people to sign up because we have to pay for all of the videos that we did and for all of the software that we're paying for.
Wow.
We're still in the red. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Their videos were really good. They almost had me signing up. But the thing is, I responded, I said, hey, that's a bummer. I teach this stuff and there's lots of ways you can do this without. Let me know how I can help. But that was the end of it. He just was like, we just need to make our money back.
Wow.
And it was a bummer because and it spoke a lot to me, like, okay, I'm wondering how they're teaching entrepreneurship. Of course, there's that, but that's what we're seeing all the time is that people are they think they have everything set up ahead of time. And that's because there's a very loud voice saying that. And it's kind of traditional if you think about that, right? Like, when you take something to market, you've got to get a bunch of them put together to get them to the stores.
Right.
And then you hope people buy them. And you might do some market research. But so this isn't the case anymore. It's a different ball game. And I think, Ryan, you and I hit this early on years ago, where especially, it started for the two of us together when we did the online, the private label, the easy way. But you don't need expensive videos, polished videos. Like I said, they were really good, but they didn't make me a customer.
Right.
And they clearly didn't have enough paying customers to pay for what they had invested. Hours and hours of prep. The thing is too, I don't know, right now we're seeing things change daily, and not just in the news and in our culture, but also technology is changing all the time. So if we're waiting 6 months, and that's aggressive, I think, to get a course out in 6 months the hard way, where you're making all the videos ahead of time, you're doing all of these things ahead of time, hours and hours of prep, you're wasting 6 months of time that you could be growing a relationship with your audience and actually making money and serving them better. Because in 6 months, your course will probably look a whole lot different. If you were starting to plan it out 6 months from now, your plan will look different than starting it today. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the same. You kind of alluded to it, and it's you said it's old school, the way to do it, the traditional way, which is the old school way of starting a business. You have an idea, let's put together a business plan that's going to take weeks, maybe months, and you got this amazing, well thought out document that this business is going to be awesome if we can follow through with what's in this document right here. Okay, now we got to go get investors, maybe go to the bank and ask for money, and months go by, and you get it all together. Great, you open up your business, and where are your customers? That's that TED Talk that Jason posted here in this group that was so cool to hear, because this girl, unfortunately, did that model. She had she said she executed perfectly on a flawed business plan.
That's right.
And had she spent that time, it was a software company, had she spent that time engaging with her potential customers first, she would have known that wasn't even the right plan to begin with. And so it's cool unfortunately for her, she's pivoted and now doing something different. But this is what we teach. And it's not that we just, we kind of, I don't know, maybe we kind of stumbled upon it. Really, at least I did. Being an entrepreneur, you just go and do it. You and I are just doers.
Yes.
And there's other people in this group. You just go out and do it. You just like, let's just try this. It's the same way that we teach how to sell on Amazon. You don't spend hours and hours and hours. You're like, let's buy 2 or 3. Let's test them. Oh, those work great. Let's buy more. It's not like you're doing hours and hours of research and then eventually taking action. No, you take action right away.
Mm-hmm.
And then you adjust and pivot based on what your customers are telling you.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, absolutely. And I don't know. I think that what we stumbled on was we realized that this needs words to it.
mm-hmm.
I think it's a natural way for how, like you said, entrepreneurs we're risk takers, right? I mean, you have to be an entrepreneur.
We don't want to sit there and, maybe I'm not saying you're not an entrepreneur if you do a business plan and do it the traditional way. It's just, you and I are like, let's just try this. And if it didn't work, okay, big deal. It's not like you spent hundreds of dollars or even hundreds of hours. It's like, okay, we did a launch and that didn't work. Let's do it a different way.
Yeah.
You just jump in and do it.
I think it's been ingrained in us from somewhere, from experience or whatever, because, and it's that principle. It's that principle of testing first, not wanting to risk a whole lot on the front end, but getting the most value out of time spent, and out of our resources, whether it's limited time, limited money. We don't want to put a lot of time and resources in without seeing an investment, return on that investment. And so that works for products, like you were saying. That's how we teach that, and I think over the years, things have all kind of come together, but it applies here too, guys. And it's not just about you not wanting to take the risk or not wanting to invest money or time and saving you that time and money. It's more than that. You take one of the other things with the hard way is really it's a guessing game, because you are like Ryan said, with the business plan, it's the same idea. You get your plan out for your course. It takes months to get all those videos created. You got to get the scripts done. You got to figure out what you're doing. Then you got to get it polished and edited once it's videoed. And then you got to get your website done, and you got to make sure you have your logo put together. And it's just all this stuff. And you're lucky if you're done within 6 months. And I see people who are teaching, hey, get your course done and ready in 6 months. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's a whole new ball game in 6 months, the way that things change. So it's a guessing game. That's the hard way. It's a shot in the dark in a lot of ways. And so the way we teach it is different. We take that guessing away, because we are big on this validation idea. You validate first. And with the course, you can actually get paid while you're validating. And so you make money. It's a win-win. You're serving well and getting paid. So we'll talk more about that. But wanted to talk about the hard way. You have expensive tools, hours and hours of prep. You want to have polished videos, and that takes a lot of time and editing and all of that. You need to think, okay, how am I going to drive traffic to this? Right. And then just that whole guessing game of, am I even serving my audience well? I guess this is from the market research I've done without actually interacting with my audience. I have a perfect plan, but it's flawed.
Yeah, so you make these really fancy videos, which is great. It's great to have fancy videos. You guys have been following us for a long time. You know that not a whole lot of what we do is like super polished, and we don't have DSLR cameras. DSLR, is that what you call it? Like fancy cameras, fancy setups. We just go on and do it, and we provide, hopefully, you guys are here, provide great content. But so the old method, the hard method, we would say is, let's have polished videos look really nice. And guys, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the way you want to go, totally can do it. It's just we know that can be a major roadblock to people getting started, because you think, well, it's got to be perfect and polished, and that's just not me. I don't have the funds to do that. I don't know how to do that. So let's just not do it at all. No, don't do that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be polished. And so once you have these polished videos and you have to spend money on expensive software, there's good software out there that's not terrible, but it's spending money before you even know you have a concept that people are going to purchase. And things like Kajabi, great, awesome software. You can create membership sites off of it, put awesome videos up there, drip content out, super cool. But this is before you even know, do I have the right idea?
Yeah. And it's not cheap either. Like course management software, membership software, you're going to pay a couple $100. a month. And so, yeah, but you don't, okay, let me say something though too. You had said, maybe you want to have polished videos. There is nothing wrong with it. There's some pretty cool videos out there that people are doing. And if that's your thing, that is awesome. But like Ryan said, don't let that be a hurdle. What the other thing is, that can be your end game goal. So what happens is, start with how we're going to talk about in just a minute, the easy way. You start there, and then you get some momentum with it, and you know exactly how you're going to be reaching your audience by the time you get to a point where you want to do a polished course. You might never get there. You might be happy with the style, kind of a more casual style, and getting really good results. And you won't ever need to get to something that's these edited, crazy Hollywood videos.
Right.
But if that's where what your audience needs, and where you see that that's going to serve them best, that can be your end game. But don't think you have to start there by any means. So I mean, absolutely.
I would think if you're doing a video, or you're doing a course on video creation and editing or something, you might want to have that's a niche. You might want to have some nice videos. But like some of the stuff that Jenny and I talk about, it's like, no, we just get on live and just go do it. And yeah, we may not be as polished as everybody else, but we feel like we give good content and we see results. And that's really what we're looking for, is we want to provide content that gets people results, and we're not having to wait. We just say, hey, we have an idea, let's go do it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, okay, big deal. Let's do it again a different way the next time. And the things that do work, we continue, like what you just said, we make it better. Like we started with private label. The easy way was a course with just PDFs. And then we moved to video, and then we've done those videos many, many, many times, and they've gotten better. We've learned what our audience needs. They've gotten shorter, more concise. We've learned how to teach in a way that people understand. We've gotten better at teaching it. And so the third version is better than the first version, but we didn't start there. We started just, hey, let's just try it this way.
Right. So let me ask you this. It just came to me. How many of you have had to pivot in your business in the last 4 months? Okay. I would say 95% of, if not more, have had to pivot because of COVID. In one way or another, you have had to be flexible and pivot. So what creating a course the hard way does is it doesn't allow you to be able to pivot quickly and easily. And that's really important when you're trying to have a business that is profitable, but also when you're wanting to serve well. So think about that. If you had this huge plan and you're halfway through production and something like COVID comes along and you're like, wait, we can serve better this way, we need to pivot, you're stuck. And now you got to start over, or, it's just a much more difficult thing to do. So,
totally.
Like one thing, Ryan, you said that I think is right on. We're like, hey, here's an idea. Hey, let's just do it. Let's try it. Like we can now, we've been doing this a while, but really it's not that hard. Within a week, easy, we can have a course, something from, okay, we're going to be talking about how you can do it in 3 days. But so I'm going to say, even in a week, you can have from, hey, we need to do something, to promoting it and getting people signed up. Within a week, you're ready to go and start your first lesson on the course. And so that's pretty powerful. Not a lot of time wasted, not a lot of prep. So if things require you to pivot, you do not feel like you have wasted your time or wasted your money or your energy or any of that stuff. It's a quick and easy pivot. And that's, I think, more important now than ever, because things are changing regularly. So we'll call it the COVID
We've done some things that haven't worked. we learn from it and you pivot and you do it differently.
I know. And, I was racking my brain because I know we have, and I don't ever want to come across like, oh, this has just always worked for us.
Right. Exactly.
But I can't think of anything. And the reason I can't is, I think, because I personally have a hard time with thinking of things as failure. I think of them as it was part of the journey to get to where we are. So to go and to say, oh, that was a major bomb, that was so valuable because it allowed us to, and I can't even think of any right off. I'm sure there's probably a million of them, but of different ideas of things that started to pursue and realize, wait, that's not the direction I should go. And the thing is, it wasn't a big deal. Maybe that's why they're not standing out, because there was not a lot lost.
Right.
It was like, oh, okay, I learned because I went that way. I learned that's not the way to go. Now I can go over this way,
Right.
good thing I didn't invest all those resources.
Exactly. So we talked about the hard way. What's the easy way? Let's talk about what the easy way looks like with course creation. And so one of the hard way things is driving traffic. Well, now this is definitely not a prerequisite for creating a course. But if you follow what we're talking about in this group, which is going out, you already have an audience, you're finding your audience, some of the things we teach, going into Facebook groups, building an audience through that. That's just one of many, many ways to find your people and build that audience, is go into these groups where they're already talking about that niche that you are interested in, serve them, and then you're going to start to build an audience from that. So if you come at, you already have 50 to 100 people on an email list, you maybe already have a Facebook group that you've decided to create on your own, and you have 200 people in that, you already have an audience now that you can launch a course to much easier. But Jenny, you're going to say do not create a course if you don't have an audience yet, because you still can
don't
create
wait
a course
for that.
and then go find the audience.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't wait for that, because you can do it simultaneously. And I think that that's key, because if you wait for that, when is it enough people? 100 people? 1,000 people? When we have 5,000 people? I mean, why do that? One, you're not serving your audience very well, actually, because you're waiting. You're just waiting. And you can actually use, we call the courses that we're creating, we just coined this term, interactive courses. So you can actually use your course to interact with your audience. So you want to start that as soon as you can, even if you only have 3 people. It might not be your end product. It might be your end product. You might end up actually just packaging the recordings or whatever, you've created, packaging it and reselling it later too. So it could be put it together and then you're done and you're still selling it. It could be something that, you've done once, like Ryan was saying, after the 3rd time when you've gone through, if it's doing videos, which is what we recommend, then, your verbiage is better and tighter, all of that. You learn along the way, and your audience is being better served as well along the way. So I think the best strategy is you start getting involved in groups. And guys, we've been posting in this group crazy niches that we're finding that have large followings. I mean, it's crazy. There's like a pet one that we did. There was the woodworking, scuba diving. Just go look at the photos that have been added to this group, and there's a bunch, and they're going to keep coming because their groups are everywhere. I'm sure you can find a community already. Go in there and start serving. Do that and have a lead magnet, like Brian was saying, so that people who reach out to you, and they will, when you hit that right, when you're serving them well, they will reach out to you. You want to be able to give them something and let them have more of an experience with what you have to offer. Well, do that, continue to do that while you're building out and offering a course as well. There's no reason to wait. There's no reason to wait. And even if you don't have anybody, still be listening and be planning, and it will not take long for you to get, a couple people at least in your following. And you always treat one person as if you have 1 million.
Absolutely.
Serve well.
Yep. So another one that makes it easy is it can be totally free.
Yes.
And no expensive tools. We can use Facebook. I mean, we'll talk more about this in the course about courses, which, guys, is $1 if you want to get into it and check it out. We're going to start on next Tuesday, a course called Online Courses the Easy Way, building your course in just 3 days. We're going to go deep into exactly how to do it, but essentially, you're using Facebook. Facebook is totally free. You can have a group like we do right now, where you're doing a webinar into that group or a meeting into that group, and that can be your course. It's a live workshop that, and I've done this. You and I, Jenny, have done this together. I've done this with other people, and you have essentially, you say that we think the course is going to be 6 modules, so you do those live. Do it into a Facebook group, and it's completely free.
Yeah. And so we use Zoom, and you can use the free version of Zoom to broadcast into Facebook. So we are talking about how to build a course in 3 days with no additional out-of-pocket costs. You can totally do it. And we'll give you all of the ins and outs and how to do that. We do it. We've done it. Now, there's some software that we use, but you don't have to use it. And we'll talk about the alternatives and options that you might want to look into. So super, super valuable. So there was another way about the easy way that I thought was really powerful.
Well, I kind of just touched on it, but doing live webinars, and I love what you said. You said interactive courses. What's that mean?
Yeah, so you're able to engage with your with the people in the course at the same time. So when we're talking about like what we're doing right now, we are broadcasting using Zoom into a Facebook group. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two key pieces that we use. You do not need Kajabi. You don't need Kartra. You don't need any fancy course software or membership software. You just don't. And I actually would recommend not starting there because you want to create an interactive course. Right. That means that as you're broadcasting, you get engagement from your audience in the group. And that engagement that you receive, that you get with them is so valuable. Mm-hmm. They're learning from you, but you're actually learning a lot from them. You can pay attention to the questions that they're asking, right? At the end, if all these people are asking the same question, it's like, oh, maybe I should have included that in the content. And so that helps you refine your course even more. So that interaction that you have with your audience while you're delivering your course that Facebook allows you to have, it's like a social course in a way, right? So you have is very, very valuable. And I think you miss it if you're sending people off to a software that, where they're just watching videos and going through a course that's all fancy. They don't get to respond right away. So they might watch it, have a question, get distracted, and then they forgot their question. Or maybe they have really good insight or a really good tip or something that they want to, share. And you don't ever get to see that because they're not in a community where they can do that. So being able to serve and broadcast into a group, a Facebook group that you have that's dedicated to that course is extremely valuable and allows for that interaction.
Yeah, it also allows you to pivot midstream. So like you could think, you know what, my course is going to be 7 modules, 30 minutes each, and it's going to have, and Callan's walking in the room here, Elaine's on the phone. It's going to be 7 modules, 30 minutes each, and it's going to be about these topics, and you've already got it all outlined. Well, you might get to it, and you realize, you know what, module 3, we had tons more questions about this topic than I imagined. And so you can say, okay, guys, module 4 is going to be kind of a review of module 3. We're going to go deeper in that because those are the questions that you guys had. And you can't do that if you doing it all in advance and doing all this content beforehand. You're able to listen to your audience and make that change while you're launching that course or while you're actually
while you're doing it. And then you have just over delivered. You've over delivered, and that's awesome. You pulled a Scotty. That's what we call it in Star Trek. Anyway, you've said I can do it in 6, but you go and you give them a bonus workshop where you're going deeper, and your audience just really appreciates that because you're serving them well. Exactly. And you're able to do that, just like you said, that you can't do that if it's already, we can't insert a video here. I mean, maybe you can, but then you got to go get your production team. You got to do everything all over again. You can't just do it on the fly. So interactive actually is interacting with your audience, but it's also interactive, and it's almost like you can build the plane while it's flying. And that's really valuable. It's a valuable skill, and that's kind of how we teach it. Yeah. Actually,
another benefit of this, we didn't talk about this before, we might have, but you could pre-sell it. So that guy that you said that had the course about being an entrepreneur for homeschool, he could have completely, had a pre-sell before even the content was all created. And then if he didn't have any sales, well, we're not going to bring out this expensive production team and rack up this huge bill because I haven't sold anything yet. So that's the benefit of doing it the way we teach. And you can, get sales before you even have created any content. And it just makes it something, because then it's going to be a success.
Right. And
if it's not you don't sell any, then you don't create the course.
Yep. Yeah. And and if you have one sale or 5 sales, you can make that decision because, so another thing is that it allows you to, you're basically getting paid to create content.
Right.
So even if you have just a small number, and this is why your audience size doesn't really matter when you're starting. Even if you only have a handful of sales, you can still get feedback from them, and and even if you don't, even if they're just lurkers, okay, and they just kind of lay back, you have created the content, and you got paid for it. Instead of paying other places, you got paid a handful of people who signed up. Now you can package that and sell it again and again and again. So it's just, but pre-selling on the front end, getting paid before you even really invest into putting all the pieces together. Here's the saying that I have: you don't have to have all of your ducks in a row, just get them all in the same pond.
Love that.
And that's where we really start with this, how we teach how to create a course, because it's so true. It's so true. And I don't know, have you ever tried to get ducks in a line anyway? I haven't, but I do have children, and trying to get them all out the door is like trying to put an octopus in a pillowcase. So it's like that with just one, isn't it?
Right. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. And we talked about this too, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And you said it,
yes, to
with,
impact.
the hard way. You wanted to, the traditional route is polished, fancy, good looking videos. Again, guys, absolutely nothing wrong with that. And for some of you, that might be super easy to do. You already have the setup. Most of the people that are in our audience, and Jenny and I ourselves, we don't have this fancy studios and to make them look perfect, yet we still do it anyway. And we've never had anybody, at least tell us, you know what, your content's great, but your videos are horrible. I'm going to go spend my money elsewhere. They don't care. Most people don't care. Yeah. I mean, then once you have it and you got an audience and you want to make them look professional later, yeah, absolutely go for it. But don't let that be a stumbling block, because it can be. If you're trying to make it look perfect, you can compare yourself to everybody else that's got a huge team, big budgets, and think, I could never make it look like that. Well, you can, but you're starting at the beginning. And if you go back and look where they started too, they probably had just a little cell phone camera, or were doing it, a very inexpensive way. So don't make it perfect. Perfection is the enemy. Dan Miller says, done is better than perfect every single time.
And it doesn't have to be perfect to impact.
Yeah.
And, also, I think I would argue that you don't see the back end of whether or not they're making a bunch of sales.
Right.
So like these two guys, I'm telling you, their content, it looked like it was going to be really good. But now that I know their model on that, that's not the model I want them teaching my children either.
Right.
So, I don't want them to be teaching to invest in all these things, go into the red, and then try to make up for it. I think that that's poor business management. But so yes, you can totally go that route, but don't discredit don't discredit the value of starting where you're more interactive and engaged with your audience at that level. There's something about, we live in a culture that really puts a lot of value on authenticity. And there is something about when you strip some of the polishing off, that you come across more authentic.
Yes.
It allows you to get more intimate, for lack of a better word, with your audience.
Yeah.
And they
can relate to that better.
Yes, they totally can relate to that. And so comparing, it is like Pinterest. You can't compare yourself. I took this picture of my house. I'm just going to tell you, I took this picture and the sun's coming in the windows, the dog's laying down. And in Oregon, when the sun's coming through the windows, everything stops and you take a picture. That's just what you do. And then you send it to everybody. Look, the sun came out of my house. So anyway, I did that. But what you couldn't see was it was from their kitchen looking through the dining room and into the family room. And it was cleaned up, but then you couldn't see the laundry on the couch that was folded because it was the back of the couch, and you couldn't see around the fridge because there's little steps that go up to the living room, that there was stuff in the living room. You couldn't see any of that. It looked nice. And a friend of mine, we had just moved in actually. So a friend of mine hadn't been to our house, and she's like, man, I thought that was from a magazine. I'm like, you should see that. You should really see the details. And I should have gone around and taken pictures, but that's what we're seeing. And that's what you're comparing yourself to, is really not the whole picture. So we really don't know how many sales they've made or whatever. It is not worth it. If that's where you want to go and be and have polished, and that's really important to you and to your audience, that's really what you want to be asking, go for it. But don't let that be your end game. Let that be your end game. Don't have it be where you have to be to start, because you don't.
Yep. That's the same thing we've taught in the private label group with packaging.
Yeah.
Starting off, if your audience expects if you're in a niche, you're selling a product and everybody else has very nice packaging and yours would look out of place without it, well,
Bath
then you're going to
bombs
want to
and-
do
yeah.
that. But for the most part, poly bags with the sticker on the front,
People don't care.
drum
And
box. Yeah.
it's going back to that traditional, because if it was sitting on a shelf in a store, your packaging matters. But
Right.
when you're selling on Amazon, your packaging doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
They even have that frustration-free packaging. So
Yes.
people don't want that, but it does depend on your audience. And
Sure.
so anyway, we teach all of that in the class. And so we start on June 30th, Tuesday. We're going to talk about who you're going to serve. And then it's every week. So Tuesday the 30th, I don't have the dates in front of me. Let me pull that up.
Sure.
The 30th, and then we go the 7th is another live training where we talk about what you will deliver, and we give you guys our plan of how to figure this out, because it isn't just here's my idea and I'm going to throw this out there and sell something. You do need to, we'll show you how to figure out how long it's going to be and all of that. And then the third Tuesday, which is July 14th, will be how you launch. And again, no extra services or anything that you have to get. There are things that make it a little easier, but we're going to show you how you can do it without actually having to purchase anything in addition. And Ryan, you let the cat out of the bag for $1. Not only, so how does that work?
So we have, the group that we're broadcasting this into right now is called Build Your Income Streams with Jenny Hunt and Ryan Rieger. We also have one called Build Your Income Streams Insiders. And it's a group that we just go way deeper into these types of things. And so for that group is $47 a month. If we're going to be broadcasting these webinars inside that group, so essentially you can get a trial of that group at the same time. So for $1 gives you access to that group, which gives you access to this online course, the easy way that we're going to do it's going to be 3 sessions. She said the 30th, the 7th, and the 14th. And so then you also have the opportunity to stick around in that insiders group, because we have some awesome content in there every single month. And that's just an opportunity for us to serve you and help you guys create your first course. So
yeah. And like I was doing something, so I'm not totally sure if you said this, but we do have in that group, we're doing training every month. And so 2 months ago we did Find Your People and Grow Your Audience in 7 days. That content's all in there. And then we did how to the lead magnet challenge.
How to create a lead magnet.
That content's all in there. So you come in, you have access to those as well. The previous training for the free. We couldn't do it for free because our shopping cart won't let us. So it's $1. If that's a problem, let us know. But it's $1, and then it's $47 a month after that. And we're walking people through that master acronym that Ryan shared at the beginning: the meet a need, add value, the social piece, team, having a team, doing live events, the mastermind, one-on-one or small group coaching, end-to-end services, and recurring. We're walking through that whole process. So all the other training where we go deeper is in there too, but including those 2 things, which I think are important to have in leading up to how to build a course.
And that's just online courses, theeasyway.com.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, let us know if there's any questions, and I'm excited. It'll be fun to do this, and I get a kick out of seeing what people's ideas are.
Yes.
Because everybody has their unique piece that they bring in, so it'll be good. And we are all about moving you to action. So it's definitely going to be an action, hands-on, get you moving.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.